Hello everyone, it's Infinity Gamer here and I am very excited to bring you September's releases. Now it feels a little bit late, there was actually a bit of a shipping delay with these coming out, but these were worth the wait because we have got some really cool models in here. Where to begin, really? I'm actually going to begin with a model that isn't in this set, not because Corvus Belli didn't send it to me, but because it's actually on loan at the moment. That's Bixie. So you'll recognize this, it's the Jade Champion. It is a fantastic sculpt. It was released as an ITS winners model for ITS season 14, it must have been. And now we've finally got the general release for this, which a lot of people have been hanging out for because it is such a good profile. Now I want to talk to you about why it's so good. So one of the things is that it can actually go in quite a lot of factions. So Bixie is a character that is available at least in Star Armada, pretty much all of Yujing, I think, but definitely White Banner and maybe a couple of others. And I think because of that flexibility that that a couple of factions can actually take her, means that the model's in high demand. A couple of people have been proxying this, obviously, because the model hasn't been available, but now the model is, and that's great. So the model is cool. The profile itself is insane. If you haven't faced Bixie yet, hope that you don't anytime soon. She is 41 points, which does sound pricey, so bear with me as to why she's then so popular. The profile is good. So there's an MSV1 on all of them, which is great for going through smoke. We've then got Climbing Plus, we've got Courage, we've got Dodge +6, which when her PH is starting at 12, you know, that's pretty much, I mean, you have to be incredibly unlucky to not be succeeding your dodges for Bixie. She's got Dodge +2 inch, which is great. Forward Observer, so is a specialist that can complete most missions. She's got a 6-2 move, which does mean that her ability to run up the field, to be dodging out of AROs that are maybe trying to get her, and then get to an objective and actually complete the objective, is actually quite high. Her whip is 13, so better than average. Well, not better than average, but it's more than a 50-50 chance that you'll get whatever it wants. And as a forward observer can obviously spotlight as well. So if you do have a missile bot and you want to do some guided, Bixie could run around and potentially spotlight that target for you. She's immune to shock, which is good because she's a 2 wound. So if she wasn't, it would be really annoying if she went straight to dead. Martial arts level 3. So when you do get her in combat, which you will want to do, she is going to be excellent at negating the opponent and then giving them negative mods, giving herself bonus mods. She has CC 22, so that those positive mods from martial arts level 3, so that'll be +3 on her attack, so she'll be on CC 25s effectively, which because of how values over 20 work, if you're unfamiliar, means that you do modify the dice roll that goes on the table, and so you get +5 to whatever actually gets rolled on the table itself, which can make a huge difference if you're trying to beat something fairly substantial. She has NCO, which is a great way for you to be spending maybe a lieutenant order within White Banner or some of the other factions that she's available in, and using that order on her to charge up the field and it not necessarily sucking out of the main order pool. So very good thing to think about strategically is using that kind of wasted order, that lieutenant order, if you don't have strategist level 1, which turns that lieutenant order into a regular order. Then she's got super jump and stealth. So the stealth is really important for just moving around and getting around targets to get to them. And then super jump plus the climbing plus as well means that she can basically get anywhere pretty quickly. With that 6-2 move, building's really easy. Obviously going from one building to another could be fairly easy too. So she's a bit of a beast. Other things in her profile that are worth looking at. Her BS of 13 is obviously better than most. PH of 12 isn't too bad. I've mentioned that with the dodging. That's where the PH 12 usually wouldn't sound very good on something that you're maybe relying on dodge, but that +6 obviously changes that significantly. Whip 13, her armor 3's actually surprisingly quite nice. And again, if she's in cover, which she might not be if you're climbing and jumping around the place, but that's going to be fairly useful. So that armor 3 is good when she is exposed, taking shots. BTS 6 is good as well. She is hackable because she's heavy infantry. So this is the thing that you do have to worry about if Bixie's running around the place, looking out for those repeaters, looking out for those hacker networks. But the BTS of 6 means that she's not as vulnerable as other heavy infantry to those attacks, could potentially shrug them off. She, as I said, is 2 wounds, understandably is only AVA 1. A weaponry, she only comes in one flavour. So she's got the multi-rifle, which is great for a little bit of range, but good if you are trying to take it out of target close. The Zapper's quite cool. So if you're unfamiliar with that, that could put your target in an isolated state so long as they don't have veteran because they're immune to isolated. But Zapper's really good. Now that could be super annoying for your opponent if you zap the lieutenant or something like that, which isolates them. Situationally, and Bixie's one of those models where situationally is actually important to know, because the situation could be created fairly easily with a model like Bixie or with a profile like Bixie that can run around the place and actually get to where you want her to be. The only thing you've got to worry about is, obviously just making sure that she doesn't catch that really awkward ARO. So something like a TR bot, even though she could dodge out of it, all it takes is you're still only rolling 1 dice. If you roll low and you don't beat, the opponent's roll, she could be dust. So you do still have to be quite careful. She does have an EMCC weapon. So when I was talking about those CC values, really good to get her in with a tag, for example, something like an avatar. I know that an avatar's immune to a lot of things, but I think EM is one of the things that's really scared of. Most tags, most heavy infantry really don't want to be facing EM, so you want to be throwing Bixie. Now she is 41 points, so you don't want to be losing her completely. You want to have smoke cover, which things like White Banner have got actually really good access to under the Shaolin monks. And so you want it to be going under smoke so that you don't have to worry too much about anything that doesn't have MSV1 or MSV2. Because she has MSV1, she could be shooting through the smoke. Yes, there would be a penalty, but you can actually create these situations with Bixie, and it might be that you're centering your list around her being a major attack piece, but that wouldn't be the end of the world. Really like Bixie, love the profile. I know a couple of people want to run her. I know a buddy that I play against quite a lot has proxied her before, and now actually would be able to run her itself. So that's really cool. Bixie not here, but really cool sculpt, really cool profile. The next one on here is Father Lucian Sforza, the Authorized Bounty Hunter, available in quite a few different areas. So available in Imperial Service, Jurisdictional Command of Tunguska, Operation S, Dashat Company, or OSS, sorry, and Dashat Company. Interesting one here. The Bounty Hunter, Man of the Cloth, who still wears his collar, but actually isn't in the things that I thought he was going to be. As soon as I think of religious models or units in Infinity, I think they're probably military orders, or they're going to be Bakunin, yeah, sorry, I don't know why I thought that sounded wrong in my head, but I'm pretty sure I mean Bakunin, monks. However, when we look at Father Lucian Sforza, we've got 28 points, 26 points, is a wild card. The FTO version Bounty Hunter is available as a wild card with the Bounty Hunter keyword, which means that you can go into the Bounty Hunter's fire team and keep it as a pure. That has the option for a duo or a Harris, so you might be wanting pure Harris if you really wanted to, but you probably wouldn't also care about putting it into mixed pure, or mixed core, sorry, because it could be fairly useful. Really like some of the aspects of the profile. The CC19 is good, but it's, when we've been talking about Bixie, it's going to sound not as bad. So one of the things I do want to focus on is the X-Visor and the Hollow Mask. So those are two cool things that means that you might end up with a bit of a surprise situation with Lucian. So Encourage, Dogged and Stealth are other special skills. The Viral Rifle, so if you use the Hollow Protector, which wouldn't be the FTO version, then that's Viral Rifle, Adhesive Launch and Nanopulsar. There's a Para-CC weapon, obviously has Surprise Attack from the Hollow Projector side of things. So you've got the option here of, I'm assuming, Hollow Masking a Hollow Projector, but I don't know how well that would go because there might not be very many other things with Hollow Projector. I don't know Tunguska very well, but I feel like that's a weird thing and maybe you wouldn't do it, maybe you would. But yeah, Hollow Mask on all of them, and then you Hollow Mask a Hollow Projector, potentially. Someone's going to jump in the comments and say, yeah, you want to do this because of this Hollow Projector that you could be faking that you are, and all this sort of stuff. So check the comments for someone who actually plays Tunguska to say, this is why you take Father Lucian. But I love X-Visor anyway, and I love Hollow Mask. Now, Hollow Mask, because you could potentially be pretending to be something either stronger than you are or weaker than you are, and then bam, you come out with a Viral Rifle with X-Visor, so the cover doesn't matter on your opponent. Viral Rifles I haven't used a lot, but they're good between 8 and 16, so that kind of like really nice mid-band before something gets within template range, really, of you. D8 and Shock with saves on your BTS, and it's burst 3. Now the fact that it's BTS obviously means that anything with high armor but low BTS, you want to be targeting that. And then DA and Shock means that it will be double, they're having to be double their saves, and you want to be going for something that doesn't have shock immunity or is only one wound. Adhesive launcher +1 burst, I really like the idea of too. For certain missions where you do just want to lock down things, so the new mission last launch is a prime example where actually adhesive launchers are good because you don't want things being extracted. You don't mind if they're generating orders as long as they're not helping score the points. And there's a whole bunch of games where actually just stopping your enemy from scoring points is how you win the game. And adhesive launchers are a really unsung hero towards that. And then nanopulses are just horrible, especially if you're coming out of Hollow Mask with something, you know, coming up, thinking that's picking off an easy target, and then boom, you pop out, you're nanopulsing them, and then all of a sudden they're having a bad time making saves on BTS, and it's not great. I've had it happen to me. I really didn't enjoy it. So that's what you can use Father Lucian for. Cool model as well, nice tactical piece of space junk, which, you know, makes sense for nomads. They're on spaceships, space junk, not rocks, so that actually makes sense. Then we've got the Ariadne the Cosmoflot support pack from Ariadne. We've got 4 models in this one, a bit of difference. So we've got the electronics, which are the 2 little robots. I love these as slave bots. They're only 2 points. They're not as good as some of the slaves that are like at 3 points. So like Dr. Worm or the Medtech Obsidian. Medtech, it's not Obsidian. Mechanoid something or other. He's got a really strange name and just gets abbreviated Dr. Worm. So his slaves are 3 points, but they are better in almost every regard. These ones really nice 2-point slaves, which is perfect if all you want is some support doctors or engineers, because that's what we've then got in that pack as well. You've got the Stranic with the submachine gun, which is a cool guy with the hair there, with the hair. He's specialist operative, just native throughout all of the profiles, and those profiles range from 19 points for the Doctor all the way up to 20 points for the T2 boarding shotgun with flash pulse. Again, the middle profile here at 19 points comes with an adhesive launcher with +1 burst, which is quite cool. SMG. We've then got a light riot stopper on the Doctor version. I love light riot stoppers from having played O12. Again, is a great way of just stopping things in their tracks. And at only 19 points for a specialist operative with terrain 0G, I think is actually quite good. The Stranic can also go into, checking my notes, is a wild card. And so could go into any of the fire teams that you're trying to create under Cosmoflot, which is worth doing, but might not be as useful as the Mechanic, the Flight Engineer Core. So that's got Deactivator and Gizmo Kit. That's the other one with the trench coat. Engineer Terrain 0G as well. Obviously Cosmoflot getting a lot of Terrain 0G, which is really handy for missions with those quantum anomaly zones this season, which off the top of my head, is that Decap? Decapitation this season I think has a quantum anomaly zone with 0G, which could be quite useful. The Mechanic Rifle decharges Panzerfaust. I hate Panzerfausts. Well, I hate coming up against them. They're great if you've got them and you're taking out, you know, something big like multi-wound heavy infantry because it's continuous damage, I think, or it's explosive. I get the two confused because I get smashed by Flamen Spears and Panzerfausts quite a bit when I'm playing against White Banner, and the Panzerfaust is the AP and explosive, so 3 saves, but at AP. So again, when it's hitting something big and meaty, you're halving the armor and then you're making it make 3 saves, which is a bit of a pain. AP heavy pistol, well that's cool, I didn't see that when I was doing my notes beforehand. And then you've got the Mechanic Mine Layer version with the SMG decharges EM mines. Now because they're an engineer, they're also a specialist, so you really need to consider taking one of these with certain missions. So a good example is something like the AC2 one, Looting and Sabotage. So that mission, this would actually be fairly useful because you've got an engineer that can potentially be healing your AC2, but because it's got decharges, could also be taking out the enemy AC2 as well, and also has EM mines which can roadblock heavy infantry quite nicely, and has Mine Layer. These ones are available in the Rockot fire team and actually have the Rockot keyword, so you can keep that as a pure fire team if you need to by keeping the mechanics in them. So that's a great set if you are playing Cosmoflot. Quite a lot of variety there, and those slaves are quite cool. They're very Wally to me, and it wouldn't surprise me if someone actually ends up doing a bit of a kit bash and making it look almost exactly like Wally, which would be cool. Not only would I not be mad, I am looking forward to being able to actually see that on the table. So is there anything else around that? Now, box includes 4 minis, as you can see there. Excellent for specialist troops, so as we kind of expected. Then we're going to go to unit profile models, a box that I love and hate in equal measure, the Uberfall Commandos. So hate them because I have been steamrolled by them. All it takes is one simple mistake against the Uberfall Commandos. Now they have their limitations, and you know, obviously if they run out of orders, if they don't get to where they want to go, if they come up against a strong ARO, if the Eclipse doesn't go exactly where you want, then they're kind of left hanging out to dry. However, if they make it to where they want to go, they wreck shop. And that's exactly what they did against my Morats. In a tournament, they got into my Pure Core, and they just destroyed absolutely everything in there. So let's talk about what we've got. We've got the Chimera, who is the human, although you wouldn't really be able to tell, modified into a bizarre form for combat. So that's the cat with the 10 pack that's sitting there, and the giant whip. So that is the Chimera and is the controller for the Pupniks. So if you're going up against these, you basically want to be killing the controller, because then the Pupniks disconnect, and so become fairly useless. You've then got the 3 Pupniks, various breeds here of different things. They're created for fighting and fornicating, which, looking at some of these, I'm like, what? The sheer mechanics of that is mind-boggling, and doesn't bear thinking about all too much. But these are such cool sculpts. I'm actually a little bit angry at Corvus Belli for showing us these with these colour schemes, because there is absolutely zero chance that I or any sane person is ever going to be able to paint them to this level, and so as are all going to look poor in comparison to this box art. I mean, this paint job is insanely good. It's one of the favourites I've ever seen before coming out of Corvus Belli. So what do we have there? So they obviously complement the Bakunin Observant section pack. So being a Bakunin player, I now love that this has been released, because I didn't love the old Before Commando sculpts, whereas now we've got new ones. These look absolutely cool. Now, from a model perspective, what are you looking for? What are their weaknesses, if any, and how do you play them? Well, they don't really have any weaknesses. So apologies if you were thinking about me giving you an how to beat. The only real thing you have is taking out the Chimera. You could take out the Pupniks, but in reality, each one is 1 point, and so you're not really, and there are no orders. So by taking them out, you're basically using orders, unless you're doing it in A or O, but you're basically having to choose between the lesser of the evils. So the Chimera itself has a 6/4, which is the same stat that's matched by the Pupniks, which are each of the 3. Then got CC 24, BS 11, PH 13, Whip 12, Armor 1, BTS 0, Structure 1, S2, and AVA 1. But they come with CC attack -3, climbing plus, dodge plus 1 inch, immunity total, which is so annoying, impetuous, martial arts level 2, and natural born warrior. And natural born warrior is annoying. They're warband. Now, one of the annoying things about the Chimera and the Pupniks too is that, as you'll recall from the CC rules, you get 1 burst for CC typically, but for every ally you have in silhouette contact with your CC target, you get +1 burst. So it's super easy for the Chimera to get up to burst 4 in CC if all 3 Pupniks are also in that combat. I don't think you can physically get all 3 Pupniks because of base sizes, so it might be, but again, I haven't done the maths on that to know for sure, so someone do the measuring of how many 28mm bases can you fit around a 28mm base. But you've got 4 profiles here ranging from 17 points to 20 points. The difference between 17 and 20 is basically the number of Pupniks that you have with you. Every single one of them comes with the same baseline for the Chimera, the Combi Rifle, the Nanopulsar, and the Eclipse Grenades. The Eclipse Grenades are key to remember, because that's how you get the Pupniks up, and you get the Chimera up without worrying about the AROs, because Eclipse blocks everything, whereas Smoke doesn't block MSV2 and only just blocks MSV1. Eclipse blocks line of fire for everything. So you throw the Eclipse Grenades up, you then rush the Pupniks and the Chimera up behind that. As long as you've got enough orders to get them there, they'll get there, and then once they're there, they'll do exactly what they want. If all of this fails, or you get them into CC and you've killed a couple of things, but then you get taken out by something else, you've lost max 20 points through all of this. That's all 3 Pupniks, that's your Chimera. The Chimera has a viral CC weapon, which is horrible if it does get into combat. The Pupniks are scary because they're running up at you and they look big and they look like normal units. Their CC's 19, which isn't anything to be sniffed at. Obviously, it's only failing on 20s. They only have, their BS doesn't matter because they can't do any shooting, but they've got a DACC weapon, which obviously is still quite horrible to be going up against. They've got climbing plus, they've got courage, they've got dodge +6, so we're kind of in the same situation as Bixie, where they're dodging well. Their PH is 13. So they're actually dodging on 19s, which is quite horrible, and then their dodge +1 inch. They've got immunity title, but their peripheral synchronized. So yeah, it's not fun to go up against the charging pack of Chimera and Pupniks when they do have cover, and there's nothing you can really do about them because you're dodging, but they're dodging better. When they do get into CC, they're going to DACC you on basically auto hits pretty much. The only good thing is that they don't have martial arts. But great sculpt, great units. I love these. I'm very happy that Corvus Belli did decide to redo the sculpts, because these ones I think are, I mean, they're weird to look at. Like, I just find the whole Bakunin thing, especially this side of Bakunin, you know, like let's hybridize a shark, maybe, and a human. Like, it's just odd. So good on them for trying it. Then we've got, last box here, Ikadrons and Imatrons, which obviously essential for anyone who's playing Combined Army. The Imatrons especially, those are really low cost orders that you get on the table, so 6 points for each one. They don't do anything really apart from generate an order. I mean, they are still a unit, so in theory you generate AROs from them, but there's no ARO that you can do that would be of any use through them. They don't have a move value, so once they're there, they're there. No CC, no BS, no PH, no whip, armor 0, BTS 3, structure 1. They're just there for an order, like it's a 6 point order, basically. They have to combat jump during the deployment phase, but you don't really care where they go, because, I mean, they're going to suck an order to be killed, and then you've lost 6 points, and you've lost one order, but someone's had to spend an order to remove them, so yeah, they're great. It's just an order battery. That's all they're really there for. They are immune to shock, weirdly, and they have veteran, which again seems very odd. But then I suppose it's good if you go into Lost Lieutenant, that stays a regular order. I don't know, like, it's weird for them to have veteran. But then we get to the ones that I'm really passionate about, the Ikadrons. I think these are one of the most well, they're not underrated by people who have played them and you know them, but I just think that they don't get enough attention for how cool they are. I didn't love the old sculpt, and I actually held off buying them, even though I use Ikadrons fairly often in my Morats, and when I was playing Shadows of Vasta years ago. But I love this new sculpt, so I actually love the fact that I've now got a model that I'm going to play and I'm going to enjoy having on the table too. These are remotes, then 9 points, and they come with a couple of cool things. So their movement's 6-2, which is great because they can run up fairly easily. BS is 11, it's not really great. Their whip's 13, that's kind of cool. Their BTS is 6, that's useful. So these stats are like, they're decent, especially for a 9-point model. But it's the fact they come with baggage, which for so many missions, baggage gets plus 20 points for like holding quadrants or holding rooms and things like that. So the idea that you can have a 9-point model that's actually effectively 29 points when it comes to scoring is brilliant. They've also got repeater, which I love because it's so easy to set up, like a hacking network, especially with Morats, and I think maybe Shadows of Vasta does quite good hacking as well, but that repeater is so useful, especially with that 6-2 move. Like, you want to be pushing this up here. It's only 9 points, so it doesn't matter if it loses. You want it to be in scoring zones, and then you've got that repeater zone, area zone of denial, which is cool. They've got courage, they've got immunity to shock, they've got remote presence. They've got a light flamethrower with +1 burst, which is one of my favourite things, because I love the idea that you're chucking a 9-point model up into a scoring zone. Not only do you have that repeater area of denial, but then you've got 2 small templates, area denial too, because no one wants to get within flamer zone. So they actually, as a roadblock, are disproportionately effective at stopping people from getting where you don't want them to go than they should be for 9 points. They do have flash pulse, which is again great, because a lot of people will just go, well, great, if they've only got a light flamethrower, I'll just outrange them. Well, you've always got the threat of flash pulse, and again, it's amazing how many people just see a flash pulse and just go, I could risk it, but do I risk it to kill a 9-point model and then maybe have my major attack piece stunned for the rest of the turn? So I love Ikadrons just for how annoying they can be, and at 9 points, you're basically using that, like I was talking about the Imatron, that 6-point order battery that comes in and can do nothing. It just provide a regular order. For 3 points more, you can have an Ikadron that can move around, it can do 6 inches, it can kill stuff, it can flash bolt stuff, it can be a repeater. Like, for 3 points extra, you're getting so many things for it. So I do, and they're AVA 2, which is great because obviously that box comes with 2. And it's amazing how often I'm there going, do you know what, 18 points for something that can basically move up 6, zone of denial. I take them more often than, you know, I think I maybe should. And in fact, at the moment, I've got a list for a tournament that I've done that I'm like, I feel really anxious because the missions I want to use it for, that sort of area denial will be really useful, but I just simply don't have 9 points spare. So very, very cool models. So yeah, these are the slightly late September releases, which I'm very excited about. I've actually been holding out for these ever since they were announced. I'm so glad to finally have them on the desk. Which ones are you really excited for? Which ones are you passionate for? Which ones are you going to get? Which ones have you already got? How do they look? Let me know in the comments which ones you're absolutely pumped to be seeing, and I'll be back soon with another video.